All right. Finishing up chapter 14, we're going to take a look at two sections today and what's going on. Again, chapter 14 was this working with graphics and some different kind of effects, adding video. It was Kyle had a really nice skateboard program. He had a video of a skateboard going across the screen. Is that who it was? Kyle, was that you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. He put that in and it made it look nice. Some of you had black letters on a white background, and I almost pounded my head into the table. But you got it done and working. You just missed the whole pizzazz part of it. But there are things that we're covering here that if you wanted to do, you would be able to do. Everybody did the skateboards. Not many people went crazy and came up with their own idea and worked from there. So anyhow, moving right along, section 14.6, and this is dealing with key events. I did not have you type these code listings in, but I gave them to you on D2L. And when we talk about key events, we talk about handling these key events when they occur. And the three that are noted in this section are when the key is pressed, something can happen, when the key is released, or when something is typed. So as I was mentioning, we do have the code listings for 14.7 and 14.8. 14.7 was called Key Press Demo. If you want to take a couple of seconds and go to D2L and load Key Press Demo, you see a nice little program. And as you can see, I have a notation about lines 36 to 40. And you see in those lines, scene dot set on key pressed event, and then an arrow. It's kind of funky looking, that arrow. Some of you are familiar with the arrow because you had that in CPS 162. But yeah, this gets me started, and it looks like after I register this, every time the key is pressed, I'm going to add one to count, and it's a way of click a key, add one to count, to keep track of how many times keys are actually pressed. Are we there? Did you like it?
Yeah.
Any comments? Okay, so that's key pressed, and that's you know you might want to use that. I don't know, but you can see how you can have something occur when a key is pressed. Not necessarily just adding one to a counter, but you could make some press any key to continue kind of deal. It's not like you've ever not heard of that. Go ahead and load up code listing 14.18.
What's the name of that one?
It is called Move Ball.
Okay.
And in this one, we create a red ball. I'm looking at line 31. We create a circle that is filled with the color red. And that's going to be our ball to bounce around. And how does the ball move? Well, the ball is going to move by arrows. If you hit the left arrow, the right arrow, the up or down, you can see how you can make the ball move across the screen.
Cool.
Thank you. I like when I get some feedback. So no. So you could move a Pac-Man around the screen with this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that what you thought of right away?
Is is the collision like a default just because of the window size, or did they have to code that?
So yeah, all of a sudden you start getting questions. How far can I go to the left? How far can I go to the right and up and down? We didn't really talk about setting that. And to me, one of the ideas of creating something would be to set that initial window to be the full screen so that you don't have to worry about, is that what you were asking about, Jake?
Sort of.
Yeah. So we haven't really talked about it, and no one has really done it, but making that making the initial screen a certain size. I just graded Galen's skateboard program, and the top of his window was off the top of my screen. So I couldn't move it up or down or anything. I couldn't find a way to close it. I had to go down and to the shortcut bar or to the pin bar where it was showing that the program was running, and I was able to close it that way. But some of you haven't looked into it. Yeah, well, it could have, Galen put really, but yeah, it could just be my screen and how screens vary in sizes. It's not the old days of 80 columns and 26 rows. But I figured it out and was good to go from there. So default size to fill a monitor, something we didn't talk about, but as Jake said, that might be relevant here and moving your Pac-Man around. Jake, you think you could change that red ball to a Pac-Man?
Eventually.
Yeah, eventually. And then somehow or other you'd have to move it and make a sound and then put 2 lines in there so that the mouth opens and closes. And yeah, maybe that should be an assignment I give you.
Wouldn't it be easier just to use like 3 pictures and have them cycle each time you press a button?
Do that too. I like that idea. Yep. Okay. Any questions on handling key events? Okay, hidden keys and how we can move things around, how we can, we have to register it and handle the event. Okay, 14.7, I did give you 3 more programs. The first one is called Mouse Event, and it's code listing 1419 if you want to load it up. So there's a lot of different things we can do with a mouse, and if you happen to be looking at section 14.7, you'll see that I can do a mouse click, a mouse dragged, a mouse entered. I like mouse entered. Mouse exited. I like mouse exited. Okay, so all these different things you can do, we have event types for working with the mouse. All of a sudden, yeah, I got the mouse up and down. And that goes back to the story I've always heard about a mouse was there was a guy at RCA, and I think it was the RCA in Lancaster, who talked about having a pointing device on a screen, which eventually became a mouse. And his company told him that he was crazy. So he quit the company and went to a new company and introduced us. And now all of a sudden, we have a mouse available for us to jump around the screen. But I'm pretty sure it was RCA and it was local. I haven't looked it up in a while to check out the facts, but I'm sure somebody will. Anyhow, mouse event demo. You get ready and you load it up. And one of the things we have going on here in this one is, okay, the circle is filled with black. When the mouse cursor goes over it, it turns red. And then if you click on it, it turns green. So we have a whole bunch of different events that are occurring that we work with when using the mouse. So if you hover over it, something happens. If you click on it, what if you click outside of it? So it's different locations and able to play around with the mouse using some of these mouse events. Questions? Okay. I gave you code listing 1420, mouse moved event. And this one's kind of interesting as well, because as the mouse moves, I'm getting my location. And it's displaying the coordinates where I'm at on my scene. Move the mouse. And as you move it, is the upper left-hand corner 0, 0? Is the lower right-hand corner? Somebody tell me what their lower right-hand corner is.
It looks like 199. 199.
Is everybody getting that?
No, because you can change the size of it.
Right. You can change the size of that window if you want. Again, let's do this. Go ahead and maximize that window. So if you maximized it on your screen, now is everybody getting the same thing for the lower right corner?
That depends on your resolution of your screen.
Right. So what are we getting?
1919 by 1016.
1919 by 1060.
1016
1016. Okay.
because the taskbar blocks some of it.
Yeah. Yep. But you're starting to get the idea of, I bet those numbers really should be rounded to the next power of 2. So you said 1016, which I'm thinking, okay, 1024 maybe. Galen has 1675 by 885.
I'm on a 1920 1080 screen. It's just
That'll
the
do.
taskbar blocks the bottom ones.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm on a little tiny laptop screen, so. Okay, but any questions? That's kind of neat. And then finally, I want you to load up mouse dragged demo. It's 1421. And when you run this and you start dragging, click and hold around the screen, anything exciting happening?
You can drag it off the screen.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Again, you folks have a pretty good idea what's going on. As I continue to say, you're to the point now where you like being given code because it's already figured out. You can now copy and paste it and enhance it and use it for what you would like to do. So for the rest of the class, here's what I'd like you to do. I want you to do a mouse rollover where I want you to put a couple of images on your screen. And then when the mouse is over top of that image, it will change to a new image. And then when you leave it, it goes back to the old one. So as you skim across the picture, say you have 3 pictures on your screen and you go over the first one, this picture changes to something else. And then if you go over this one, this picture would change to something else. And again, as soon as you leave that area, then it would change back to what it originally was. And when you go over here, it would change. And then when you leave it, it would go back to originally what it was. Hopefully some of you will post this because I think you could have a little bit of fun with it, with the different images you want and what images it changes into.